Listen, you're here for one reason. You have an upcoming fantasy hockey draft and you don't know who to be taking in the later rounds. But don't worry, I do the research for you so you don't have to. This video, I'm going to be breaking down 8 more sleepers on top of the first 7 that I already found for you that I think could be paying off massive value for you at their current ADPs and that I think could have a really strong season given their current deployment. This is going to be a good video, guys, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. Someone left a comment and said that Chris looks like Zach Werenski and I look like Frank Vatrano. So I'm just going to stay steady for a second. That's the best I can do. And let me know if you think I look like Frank Vatrano, but honestly, I kind of wish I played like him because historically, Frank Vatrano is one of the best shot volume players in the NHL. The only issue with him previously in his career was the lack of opportunity. He was typically a third line player. He was moved around from team to team, but he finally found his footing in Anaheim and he has proved that he can be that top 6 forward, that really high goal scoring forward. And this is all because of that really good shot rate. Now his career took off in Anaheim. He played 16 minutes and 41 seconds his first season. He scored 22 goals, 231 shots, 86 hits, and 75 blocks. Extremely good peripheral numbers on top of the 22 goals. And then he followed that up last season, smashing all of his career highs. 37 goals, 60 points, 20 power play points, 272 shots, 156 hits, and 78 blocks. He was pretty much putting up defenseman peripherals with forward goal scoring number. Absolutely unbelievable stats from a guy that's currently going at ADP 147. Now, he was the only player in the league last year with a 10+ shot per 60 rate, a 4+ hit per 60 rate, and a 3+ block per 60 rate. Now, the only players that were actually kind of close to him, Vincent Trocheck, Owen Tippett, and Boone Jenner. And every single year, we're now trying to find the Vincent Trocheck of last season. We're trying to find the Joel Eriksson-Ek of last season. And peripheral-wise, Frank Vatrano is right up there with these guys. He ranked 20th in shots on goal, 20th in goals, 8th in blocks, and 27th in hits amongst forwards last year. He was touching every single category at an above average or an elite level. Now, these numbers are just way too good to ignore, and even if we see Frank Vatrano's shooting percentage drop a little bit, which was only 2.6% above his career average, his peripherals will just help him carry him to be a top 75 player this season. He's currently ADP 147 over on Yahoo. He has center left wing eligibility, and he grades out as a top 70 player for us. So there's a lot to like from Frank Vatrano this season. Can he repeat a 37 goal year? Maybe not, but his shot volume carries him to being that goal scoring player that he can truly be. I like this Anaheim Ducks team a little bit better than last year, so there's going to be an exciting season ahead for Frank Vatrano this year. I swear the more I look into JJ Peterka, the more excited I am for him this season, and it honestly blows my mind that he's currently going ADP 166. Now, in some of the competitive mock drafts with our viewers, our live streamers, a lot of people throughout the Discord, we are finding Peterka's going about round 12 and on, and this is extremely good value from a guy who should be in a way bigger role this season. Now, they added a great puck-moving defenseman last year in Bowen Byram. They got rid of Casey Middlestad. They don't have Jeff Skinner anymore, meaning Peterka's in line to play a top 6 role and on power play 1. Now, we are a little bit early in the training camp news right now. I'm recording this video a little bit earlier, but what we're seeing right now is Peterka is currently skating on the top line with Tage Thompson and Alex Tuck, which means he's going to be in line to play big minutes this season on the top power play unit and on the top line. Now, he had a mini breakout last season, 28 goals, ranked him second on the Buffalo Sabres, adding 226 shots, and all of his success came at 5-on-5, and that's the one thing I want to emphasize with Peterka is he had a mini breakout season while not even playing on the top power play unit. Now, add him on the top power play unit going into this season, the sky's the limit for him. He finished 25th in the league in even strength goals and 19th for even strength shots with 197. Now, in the latter half of the season, he was moved to the top 6 and power play 1, and over his last 30 games, he averaged over 17 minutes time on ice, 57 total minutes on the top power play unit, and with no Skinner and Casey Middlestad, he has to be a lock for power play 1 this season. Now, we're projecting him to be a 30 goal scorer, put up 61 points, 18 points in the power play, over 250 shots, and the peripherals a little bit lacking for the hits and blocks, but still, you're drafting Peterka around 12 and beyond for 30+ goal upside with a lot of power play production and shots on goal. A lot to like from Peterka this season. He's pretty much going undrafted or a little bit later, depending on the competitiveness of your league right now. I did see on Yahoo he's at about 50% draft rate, so if you're in a non-competitive league, he's pretty much going undrafted, and you can grab him at the end of your rounds. But in competitive leagues, he's going to be falling off the board because people are starting to get on him. There's a lot to like from Peterka here, and I'm definitely going to be drafting him on all my teams. I just want to take a minute to let you know that the Fantasy Puck Patreon leagues are officially open for this season. This is our second annual season. We had over 84 managers competing last year, and we're hoping to reach over 100 this year. Make sure you secure your spot. The links will be in the description below. If you have any questions, just make sure you leave a comment on this video or join our Discord and send me a message at FP Mike. I'll be sure to answer as soon as I can. We have drafts beginning as early as mid-September. Everything will be live streamed, so you're going to be able to watch your drafts back again. You'll be able to compete and talk with other active managers within the Discord. It's super exciting. Again, any questions, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to answer. Now, no more of me. Let's just go back into the video. Very similar to Peterka, Jordan Kyrou is pretty much falling in drafts for literally no reason. I can't figure out why right now. I was kind of reading on Reddit about players that you're going to be avoiding this season, and a lot of people were commenting Jordan Kyrou. Now, the Blues have struggled over the last 2 seasons. They're not the 2019 team that we saw beat the Boston Bruins in the Cup Finals, but Kyrou has been a mainstay in this team's offense and has been extremely good. He's coming off back-to-back 30-goal seasons and back-to-back 250-plus shot season. And you know how much I like shots, because to me, shots is the biggest indicator of players scoring goals, getting offensive touches, and ultimately putting up points in fantasy hockey, and that's what you want to be seeing. So over the last 2 seasons, Kyrou has missed a total of 3 games. He ranks 32nd in goals over that time, 56th in points, and 21st in shots, yet he's currently going at ADP 129, and we're seeing him fall even further than that right now in drafts. Now, he had a slow October last season. I will never forget. There were so many people dropping Kyrou in fantasy. In my $100 buy-in league, he was dropped within the first week. Just 3 points in 7 games. And everyone who drafted him was just over him at that point. But for those who held him, those who added him, he paid off handsomely. Over those next 75 games, he finished with 30 goals, 64 points, and 228 shots, ranking him top 30 in both goals and shots over that time. Extremely good numbers from a guy who pretty much leads that team's offense with Robert Thomas. Now, the lack of peripherals and blocks and hits kind of limit his floor a little bit, but his shot rate is extremely good, one of the best in the NHL, and not to mention he's dual position eligible at center and right wing, so you can draft him as a right winger, play him at center, draft him as center, play him at right wing. And right now he's going pretty much around 10 and round 11 in 12-team leagues and 10-team leagues a little bit later than that, meaning you can get extremely good value for a guy that should be a 35-plus goal scorer and 250-plus shot upside this season. A guy I'm definitely going to be drafting. We have him for 75 points this year, so his ADP 129 doesn't make any sense to me. A guy that can easily finish as a top 100 player this year. Now, if you listen to the Frank Vatrano blurb, I mentioned that there are players that have over an 8+ shot per 60, a 4+ hit per 60, and a 3+ block per 60. And amongst forwards, Boone Jenner is one of those guys. He is an absolute peripheral beast. The only issue is his injury risk, and that's why he's basically going undrafted right now in fantasy. Over on Yahoo, he's at about a 19% draft rate, but similar to Vatrano, he's an absolute peripheral beast. So last season, he ranked 24th amongst forwards in average time on ice, averaging 20 minutes and 57 seconds, playing top line, top power play unit, and top penalty kill when healthy. Now, on a per game basis, his numbers are extremely good. It's just a matter of him being healthy. So in 58 games last year, 22 goals, 35 points, 155 shots, 74 blocks, and 119 hits. 82 game pace, 31 goals, 220 shots, 104 blocks, 170 hits. Those are like really good defenseman numbers, but he's a forward with dual position eligibility and the upside to score 30 goals. So right now, Jenner hasn't played more than 70 games since 2019, and it's more than likely that at age 31 this year, he probably still won't be playing more than 70 games, and we haven't projected for 62 because we take into account historical injury. But on a per game basis, Jenner actually grades out as a top 70 player right now in Yahoo standard leagues. So although he's going to be injured, he may be a good guy to grab at the end of your draft. If he gets injured, you put him on IR+, but when he's healthy, he's extremely effective for you. The last thing I want to mention with Jenner is I get a lot of questions about face-off win leagues. Now, I don't play in them, but Chris does, and I talked to him quite a bit about it. And he basically says if you can draft a guy that has winger eligibility that wins a lot of face-offs, they're extremely valuable. And that's exactly what Jenner does, who was on pace as a left winger eligible player to win 854 face-offs. So I'm going to be taking a chance on a guy that's essentially going undrafted with massive peripheral upside. He will cover all your categories. He's basically like a poor man's Vincent Trocheck, very similar to Frank Vatrano. And this is an extremely interesting pick this season, and a guy I definitely want to be looking at later in drafts. Fabian Zetterlund's had kind of a weird career. He's turning 25 this season, and this is his first time last year, playing in a top 6 role, but he flourished on a Sharks team that was extremely bad last season. The Sharks ranked last in wins, second last in goals, and last in shots for, but Zetterlund still managed to have a really effective offensive season. He played in all 82 games, he averaged 18 minutes and 51 seconds time on ice, added 24 goals, 44 points, over 200 shots, over 100 hits, and over 70 blocks. So again, another just really good category coverage player that's going completely forgotten in drafts right now. Now, keep in mind, last year was one of the worst Sharks team in NHL history. They had just 19 wins. That's outrageous to me. But luckily for Zetterlund, help has arrived, I hope anyways. Now, the Sharks are looking a little bit more scary this season with the addition of first overall pick Macklin Celebrini, two-time 30-goal scorer Tyler Toffoli, 2023 fourth overall pick Will Smith, who had 71 points in his last NCAA season. That's crazy to me. And they just traded for Yaroslav Askarov, the guy who couldn't hold his stick in the World Juniors, but hopefully should help their goaltending core. And all the players that I just mentioned should hopefully help their offensive core. And now with Fabian Zetterlund, looks to be a mainstay in that top 6, and hopefully should be in line for a lot better of a season this year. Now, we got to talk about this video of Fabian Zetterlund that has pretty much gone viral on Twitter about 2 weeks ago. He just deadlifted 600 pounds. Now, if that's a strong offseason and something to look forward to going into this season, he looks like an absolute beast in that video, and that is someone I want to be drafting who's taking care of his body and is putting in the work to have a very, very strong season. Now, who knows? Maybe the off seasons are a little bit overrated, but someone that's deadlifting 600 pounds and put up the shot and hit volume we saw last season, that's promising to me. He's going undrafted right now, but has the upside to be a 25-plus goal, 200 shot, 150-plus hit player this season on a brand new San Jose Sharks team that looks to be a little bit scarier. I'm going to be taking a chance on him. If you're in deeper leagues, like 14-plus team leagues, he should definitely be someone you're looking at a lot later in your drafts to pay off huge value for you. With news that Torrey Krug is going to miss the rest of the season after undergoing surgery on his left ankle, I think Justin Faulk is now in line to be the top power play quarterback. Now, hear me out. There's some risk that people think Scott Perunovich will get the reps on the top unit, but he hasn't really done much in his career to prove himself otherwise. In his first 2 seasons for Perunovich, age 23, then he missed a full year, then at age 25, he's averaged just 15 minutes time on ice, 0 goals, 23 assists, and 73 games played, not to mention some of the worst peripherals I've ever seen. Now, I don't want to daunt on Mr. Perunovich over here, but I want to just use this as justification as to why I think Justin Faulk, the proven veteran, should be that top power play quarterback. He's my priority here. He's 1 season removed from scoring 11 goals, 50 points, 196 shots, 140 blocks, and 112 hits while skating over 23 minutes per night. And if I look on Twitter here, we have a great tweet from Dauber Hockey. Definitely go check them out if you haven't already. It's easy to think that Justin Faulk benefits here, but Scott Perunovich breakout could too, and this is a really great opportunity for him. However, we're going to have to wait and see until training camp opens up with. Blues did not do well last year, but the power play improved a lot when Drew Bannister became the head coach. Now, this tells us 2 things and kind of contradicts my point where I said that I don't think that Perunovich is going to be the power play 1 defenseman, but it also sides on my point that this is a good opportunity for one of these Blues defensemen to step up and play on the top power play unit. And for Justin Faulk, he's had 6 seasons with 10-plus goals in his career. He's the offensive-minded guy there with very strong peripherals. And what we're projecting from Faulk this year, again, defensemen are extremely scarce in fantasy, and defenseman sleepers are really, really hard to find right now. So Faulk grades out as very, very good value in fantasy. He's going ADP 167, drafted in under 60% of leagues right now, with the upside to be top power play unit and just play a much bigger role with no more Torrey Krug. So we have him projected for 50 points, 15 points in the power play, 173 shots, 141 hits, and 118 blocks. Very similar to what we saw just 2 years ago from Faulk. We give him a little bit of bump in average time on ice, and we give him a little bit of bump, assuming that he will be scaling the top power play unit. We're going to find out more information when we get into training camp, but I do think Faulk will end up beating out Perunovich for that top power play unit. His peripherals are very strong, and the upside to skate on the top unit just overall boosts his value going into this season. Again, defensemen are difficult to find in terms of late round sleepers, and Faulk seems to be a great one right now. Listen, you guys know the way I play goaltending in fantasy hockey. I am pretty much a 0 goal strategy player, and for me, I tend to find good value where no one else is looking. Last year, Joseph Woll. Year before that, Stuart Skinner. This year, it's going to be Justus Annunen. Now, last season, of the goalies with a minimum of 40 starts, Georgiev had the 7th worst save percentage and the 13th worst goals against average. Now, if we change that data and we do a minimum of 50 starts, he had the second worst save percentage and the third worst goals against average, meaning he was arguably the worst starter of 2022-2023 or 2023-2024. And that's just something you don't want on your fantasy team, and that's something that the Colorado Avalanche do not want on their goaltending side of things. But in 2022, he did have a really good season, Georgiev, a 918 save percentage, a 253 goals against average, a 40-16-6 record, league-winning numbers. Now, over Colorado's last 23 games of last season, Georgiev had 14 starts, an 893 save percentage, and a 334 goals against average versus Justus Annunen, who had 9 starts, posted a 942 save percentage, and a 171 goals against average. And at some point, Colorado this year is going to have to make a decision. Do they lower Georgiev's workload, or do they give Annunen the net and let him run with it? And this is what I mentioned in my video from 2 weeks ago. And now we have this tweet from Arif Dean that directly quotes Jared Bednar, the coach of the Colorado Avalanche, that says, on Justus Annunen as the permanent backup goalie. I have a lot of confidence in this guy. I expect Georgie's work to be lower if Annunen plays the way I think he can play. And this is exactly what I was expecting going into this season. A lower workload and Annunen given a better opportunity because of how well he played last season. And yes, I get it. He's a risk. He really has no sample size. But Georgiev's currently goalie 11 going off the board at ADP 50, while Justus Annunen is goalie 30 at ADP 163, meaning you can grab him at the end of your draft with the upside to be maybe a 40% to 50% starter on a Colorado Avalanche team that should again be contending as one of the league's top teams. There's a lot to like from Annunen, who proved himself to be a top-end goalie last season in a very short stint and has the upside to do so again this year. There's a chance they can go to 50-50, but for right now, I would expect 60-40 until we hear a little bit more. But if there is the chance that Georgiev does get hurt, if the workload's a little bit too much and Annunen steps in as a starter, he has the upside to finish as a top 10 goalie this season. I pretty much treat goaltenders like people do running backs in fantasy football, where you draft like the running back 2 on really good teams, and that's what I'm going to be doing with goaltenders in fantasy and drafting the number 2 goalie on really good teams that has the starter that is a little bit more fringe than other goaltenders in the league, and Annunen fits the bill perfectly. Now, I might be recording this a little bit too early, but after the first day in training camp, we had some media reports, and the biggest news has affected the value of Joonas Korpisalo in fantasy right now. So up to this point, and one of the biggest things right now is that Don Sweeney announced that Jeremy Swayman and the Bruins do not have a deal in place at the time of recording this video. So right now, Joonas Korpisalo is currently the starter for the Boston Bruins. This initially was my speculation. If you watch the Must Draft Goalies video, I basically mentioned that if Swayman doesn't sign in time for training camp, he's going to have a delayed start to the season, meaning Korpisalo is going to be getting reps as the starting goalie to begin the season. But if you take a look at this tweet right here, Emily Benjamin says Jeremy Swayman will not report to camp until a contract's finalized. Don Sweeney said he's optimistic about a contract that will be done by the December 1st deadline. The December 1st deadline, this means that 35 games into the season, Jeremy Swayman could be getting a contract, and I assume he's going to be training, but for him to get back into NHL form and to get used to the NHL shot and the speed and everything, there has to be a 50-50 split, meaning that Korpisalo is going to get, what, 25 starts until December 1st and then be a 50-50 split for the rest of the season. This is extremely interesting right now. Now, with the upside that Korpisalo could be the starting goalie in Boston, we have to look at what Boston's done for goaltenders in the past. And I don't really need to explain if you even follow hockey, because Linus Ullmark went from a mid-range goalie like Korpisalo is right now to a Vezina candidate goaltender or Vezina winner. And right now, the Boston Bruins last season, the 5th best goals against average and the 3rd best save percentage. 2 years ago, number 1 in both. So this tells me that any average starter, Joonas Korpisalo, has the upside to be a very, very good fantasy asset. Right now, he's being drafted in just 38% of leagues. It is at ADP 179. I have no idea what's going to happen with Jeremy Swayman between the time I'm recording right now until this is posted, which is likely going to be a week from today. If he gets signed, I'm going to throw this out. But right now, if he's not signed, Korpisalo has the upside to be a league winner in fantasy. Goaltender zero strategy is the way to go. You can be grabbing Korpisalo extremely late, almost at the end of your drafts right now. People are not going to be on him as much as you think they are until they watch this video, or if they watch the Must Draft Goalies video, guys. This is definitely someone you want to have your eye on. I like him more than Annunen. I think he has the upside potentially to be a top 10 goalie in the first half. that will do it for the Sleepers V2 video, guys. I wanted to release another one because there was a lot of things that have changed over the last couple weeks in fantasy hockey, and I wanted to make sure that you were getting all the proper information. So thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe on your way out, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.